We're here in Bornholm, which I would argue is absolutely one of the finest islands in all of Scandinavia. It balances fine sandy beaches, rocky shores, raw, untouched countrysides. It is truly spectacular in many ways. It's also got quite a dramatic history. Being situated here in the middle of the Baltic Sea means many countries have tried to rule this special island. But at the end, it's become a very treasured part of Denmark. And when it comes to gastronomy, nothing short of a revolution has happened over the past 10 years, with products such as licorice, chocolate, ice cream, beer, cheese, and world-famous restaurants as well. Seems like a pretty good place to spend some time.
In this episode, I'm traveling around Bornholm, a beautiful Danish island located between Sweden to the north and Germany to the south. Working with local ingredients, I'm making a dish that combines a spicy and salty sausage and sweet figs, which are right in season. I'm down by the sea preparing a dish working with some local lamb, apples and wild herbs, smoked over a fire. I meet a master brewer whose fantastic beer goes into a recipe with wild boar and leeks, and work with two of Bornholm's top chefs who have a unique take how to make crayfish. The best way to see a stunning island like Bornholm is from above. Sune, a Bornholm local, is pointing out the crazy geography of the island.
On the corner, yeah, there's a...
The only thing missing on Bornholm is a desert. You can climb steep cliffs on the east coast or swim by white sandy beaches in the west. In the center of the island, there's a never-ending forest filled with wild boar and all kinds of edible plants.
I understand there's been a sort of a revolution when it comes to food. It is the past 10 years, so just a matter of time. Yeah. And I think that eager young chefs get their hands on it and start producing miracles.
The top-notch natural resources are utilized by local food producers, making their way into beer, sweet goods, mustard, cheese and meat products. Thanks to what's available, it's emerging as a paradise for gourmets. A big part of the Bornholm gourmet landscape is restaurant Caddo, managed by chefs Nikolai and Mikkel. They source their menus locally and seasonally and asked me to accompany them on their daily foraging stroll, only meters away from their restaurant.
How do you feel about this new, the Nordic sort of food revolution? Because it is a revolution, more or less. 10 years ago, we didn't know anything about this. Is it a new pantry that opened up, or is it like opening up the Pandora's box sometimes?
I think it is. It also increases focus on our restaurant, on our cuisine, on the island, and the philosophy to join the Nordic wave, like using only ingredients from the island. Mm-hmm. The fruits, skulper, it's just like pepper, really. They're very strong now, fresh.
Very nice.
We use these as capers as well. We salt them and pickle them.
I think if people knew that they could use this in so many different ways, you wouldn't be able to find it anymore.
No.
So save you the moment. Oh yeah, big secret. And this is the potluck.
Yeah. Yep.
Ah, it's the whole forest. What do they taste like here?
Salty and a bit like a cucumber.
Have a look at this one. It's one of nature's wonders. As soon as you know what to look for and where to look for it, then you have something else to do than just lay on the beach and soak up the sun.
Yeah.
Whoops, I found some more.
Okay, let's see if we can find the forest.
Do you find it difficult to adapt to this thing about just working with what's fresh right now?
Actually, it's making things much more easy. If the menu says peas, and we didn't have peas because the season is over, and we just don't have peas. And the guest has to understand that, and they do.
And they accept it.
Yeah, of course they do.
Yeah, of course they do.
Because it's beautiful.
They have no choice. Nej, det här är ju löjligt. My God, have you seen this? We're sitting in green gold.
Restaurants like Cadeau work with suppliers like Jürgen. His shop makes and sells meat, handmade sausage, and hams packed with Bornholm's natural herbs and spices.
It's just pure salt, which means that the meat will sometimes maybe discolored, but it's the natural color of the meat. Absolutely no additives or nothing. I'm going to the smoker to collect we'll collect a couple of sausages made from a really old recipe. Look at that.
Ja, han kalder den salte satan.
Salta satan.
Ja. Han er helt vild med det.
This is the oldest recipe he's had. This is from the Middle Age.
Ja.
And it is completely unchanged. This is the original recipe. And it's 50% pork and 50% pork fat. Half and half. After it's been filled, it's been sunk down in salt, pure salt, for about 6 weeks, and then taken out of the salt bin, brushed off, and then put in the smoker for about, this one has been in there for 26 days. And they call it the salt devil. So we'll see. It's going to be very exciting to taste this one. And this sausage is with licorice, maple syrup, and cranberries. That sort of dances around everywhere. It just doesn't want to let go of you. It's like a 3-stage rocket.
It's not my favorite.
I'll tell you one thing, it's different from any kind of sausage I ever had. I don't know if it's my favorite, but it's definitely interesting. Okay, here we go. Salty Satan.
Ja, salte satan.
Come to me.
Med råbrød og så noget krydderfedt.
It's not for the faint of heart, that one. Whoa, my God. Very salt, but very nice.
Yeah.
And you don't get the salt immediately.
No.
It comes after a little while. Maybe the fat reduces it. I don't know which to choose, to be honest. Ooga, ooga.
Seems to me that the explosive salty Satan will play a role in my next dish.
I really wanted to cook something that goes with this. Denmark's national beverage, beer. So I've got my salty Satan here. I've got some chorizo, some lovely Bornholm figs, got some green cabbage, a few edible flowers and stuff, and I really wanted to cook something maybe a little bit out of the ordinary. This salty Satan sausage, it is truly one that'll put hair on your chest. But I think that I can tame it a little bit if I cook it. I probably won't be using any extra fat or extra salt in this dish. Just gonna try and mush it with my hand here. As the sausage hits the pan, instantly the fat starts to melt and sizzle. There'll be enough fat here to cook the rest of the ingredients. The pepper is there and everything is in there and it's really, really good. I want the fat to melt, not fry instantly, but to melt out slowly so we get all of the goodness out there. Now to this I want to add some green cabbage. You can use it raw, of course, or you can fry it like I'm doing now. Now you can see it's starting to melt the fat. It's getting out there, and I wish you could smell this. That is a salty, salty sausage. I'm going to try and balance out that excess salt with a few of these Bornholm figs. Now the figs have a natural sweetness, and these are nice and ripe. Cut that open, and look at that. See how beautiful that is. I remember the first time I had figs was in Italy, in Venice, and they sold figs everywhere there on the streets. I love dried figs, but never had a fresh one. And as soon as I bit into it, that sweetness just overpowered me. You can get them here in Bornholm, and they grow everywhere. A little bit more. I'm going to try and add a little bit of vinegar to this. It is very salty, that meat. A few drops of vinegar like that. Get my flower buds in there. And that's more or less done. Not bad at all. Not bad at all.
Bornholm is located in the Baltic Sea between Sweden and Germany and is easy to get to either by ferry or by plane. The island explodes with tourists during the warmer months, taking advantage of the great beaches and culture. People also come specifically to explore nature on foot, in a car, or in the true Nordic way, by bike.
All right, we're here with Team Cycling Bornholm, and they're going to show me the island in a new way, to me at least. Okay, guys, let's go!
The cycling team took me to the shores by Hammershus, Bornholm's most famous ruin. This fortress was built in the 13th century and warded off invaders from Denmark, Germany, and Sweden for hundreds of years. Well, this particular Swede comes in peace with his mobile cooking equipment, ready to prepare his next dish.
Here at Hammershus, they're really famous for their lamb, so naturally I'll be cooking lamb over here. I was up in the hills and I sort of had a look to see what to be found around here. This heatherweed is all over the island, and particularly up here in the north of the island. Now, the heatherweed might not be edible as it is, but it is fantastic to smoke things with. I've got some lamb chops right over here, some wonderful local rapeseed oil. Rapeseed oil goes in the pan, a bit of that, and these beautiful lamb chops straight in here. I'm going to cook them so they're, well, just about done, and after that I'm going to smoke them. If I could get a little bit of heat in the pan, that is, because it's so windy, heat sort of tends to go that way. I need it to go that way. I'll give the cutting board a rest. It's much more needed to shield off the wind. Here we go. It's a wonderful island, but it is a windy island. I think that did the trick. Yes. Finally, I got some heat in here. Now, while this is very, very gently cooking away over here, I'm going to prepare some apples. The island is dancing with apples. Apples are everywhere, really. Just cut them into big chunks. Let them sit here in the pan together with the lamb. And some onions. Apples and onions. It's a winning combination every time. Now, that's going to soak up some of the juice from the lamb. And then for the grand finale, so to speak, to garnish it all off with, I found this on the beach. Beach mustard. And it grows in heaps here. It's really everywhere. It's wonderful. A little bit of salt here, and as soon as the lamb is cooked, I'm going to remove these from the pan and place them in one of these. And this is where the smoking process begins. I'm going to need a second pan in which I've already placed a stone. The lamb will rest on that stone. Now, I'm going to set fire to the heatherweed here. As you can see, the heatherweed is fresh, so it doesn't burn very easily, which is good, because I want the smoke, not the fire itself. And place them in here. You see the glow? I'll place the stone. I'll bring up my second burner here. Now what I'm going to do is I'm going to place the lamb on top of the stone while setting fire to the heatherweed. You see the smoke coming from all around it. 1, 2, 3, 4, and it's on fire. And there we go. The heat from the gas and the heatherweed that I've already set on fire is going to keep that smoke coming. Back to the apples and the onions. Now I need to flavor these just a little bit more. A few drops of vinegar. This is a sherry vinegar. A few drops of the rapeseed oil. And to add a bit of color, a few radishes. These are white tip radishes. And just like that, it's done. Oh, look at that, fresh heatherweed and lamb. Wow, that is too good to be true. Now, it's just a matter of plating and to see if the combination works as well as I thought it. Oh, I think one of my better dishes, to be honest. Not bad.
While I was out exploring one of Bornholm's towns, a local artist invited me in to see his house and garden. This kind of open-door hospitality is totally typical among the people who live here.
My grandpa knew Picasso, and Picasso saw my drawings when I was a child and said, "You are talented." So I wanted to be an artist. My father was an artist, but he wouldn't allow me to. I have to do something where I can...
Like a regular job, of course.
Earn some money.
Earn some money, yes.
Come on. In Denmark, we normally don't have what do we call fig trees.
Yeah.
Yeah, but we have. It gives 50, 60 kilos a year.
Oh, these are from your tree?
Yeah.
Oh, I haven't had fresh figs like this since I was in Italy.
Yeah.
Bornholm's oldest market town is Svaneke, which is remarkably well preserved. I'm on my way over here to meet Jan Paul, who is brewmaster and making some of Denmark's finest beer.
Jan is the master brewer at Svaneke's brewery. He moved from Germany to work in Bornholm, and he's well known for making unusual brews you won't find anywhere else. Svaneke's beer is the pride of this island, and I look forward to hear his philosophy on brewing.
I've used seaweed for one of my latest brews. And, well, seaweed like we find it here.
Like this?
Yes. And it was very nice. Really got the aroma of a beach, you know, in the night time when the mist is falling and really this mineralic and also sulfuric aroma of the seaweed. And yeah, it was quite popular, really, especially amongst girls.
Really?
Funnily, yeah. They were really crazy about it.
There you go.
So, yeah, so remember that. Beer mainly consists of 4 ingredients. It's water and malt and hops and yeast. This is like the basic setup for a beer. And we have the 2 of them here. We have the malt here and the hops here. And the malt delivers the sugar for the yeast to make alcohol of. That happens in the brewing process, in the mashing process. When this is done, we need to filtrate the husks away from the liquid that is rich on sugars now. And that happens in a filtrating vessel. And this is where the hops comes into the picture.
Okay, so heated, filtered, now we have the base.
Yes, and now the hops is added and the whole brew is boiled for roughly an hour. And afterwards the water is cooled down and pumped out to the fermentation vessel where the yeast is added.
And now you turn the sugar into alcohol.
Exactly, that's what the yeast does.
Jan has given me some local Svaneke brew, and into the next recipe it goes.
I got my hands on some real nice pork. This is from the forest pigs that run around here on the island as well. I wanted to cook the pigs with something that is sweet and succulent and really can emphasize the flavor of the pig. So I went to the backyard here and I found some really nice figs. And I also got some nice wild herbs here. I've got some wild thyme, some red nettles. I'm just going to use that as a garnish. The thyme is going to go into the sauce itself. And I decided to make the sauce out of the In Your Pale Face Ale from the brewery here. Now, pork and beer is an excellent combination, as we all know. And in this case, might be even better. Very nice ale. Has a natural sweetness. I've got some leek here as well. I've decided to burn the leek a little bit. If you burn it, if you give it a really hard surface, really black, you really emphasize the sweetness in the leek. It might sound odd because anybody knows that burnt food is bitter to the taste, but it really helps the onion's own sweetness to come out properly. You should come over here and have a look. Absolutely no fat in the pan. Just keep them in here and keep them under pressure. Now, the fillet, you can see there's plenty of fat on top of it, which I'm not going to cut away. There's a lot of flavor in the fat. I know a lot of people don't like the fat on the meat, but this will just melt away in the pan and leave excellent flavor. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to cut out chunks of it like this. And as soon as the leek has been properly colored, I'll add the meat. Almost done, but I want it really blackened, so they're going to stay in here for a little while longer yet. Keep them in here for another couple of minutes, and it's time for the figs. Now, these figs are as fresh as they could be, and look at those color of that fig. A little bit of rapeseed oil, and as before, this golden colored oil has the distinct flavor and that smell of walnuts and green peas. I just want to quickly sear them, give them a little bit of color. There we go. And the leek as well. Some more oil on top of it. That rapeseed oil, look at the color on that oil. It's absolutely perfect. Looks like somebody threw a sun in the pan all of a sudden. Absolutely beautiful. Some salt, and then up we go. And then get the figs. Perfect. And now in the same pan, using the same oil and all of the flavors that are still left in the pan, I'll just add the pork fillets. A little bit of salt. If you turn the meat over, quite often, like every 15, 20 seconds or so, you give the meat very, very even heat. So it cooks evenly, and the color will be beautiful all around. And at the same time, as you turn the meat around, you're closing the pores, which keeps all of the juice inside the meats. If you have a close look at the meat now, you can see that all of those little pieces of fat that were sitting on the surface of the meat, they're really melted away. And you're left with a really nice, lean piece of pork. Color is getting there. Excellent. Now I'm going to add some beer to it. Your Face Pale Ale, local brew, local pork, and look at the color of that sauce. Now, before the beer cooks away, I'm going to add the leek and a few figs. And 1, 2, 3, and we're done. It's plating time.
I went to visit Bornholm's St. Clement's Dairy and got there a few days before the Queen of Denmark made an appearance. Per, who runs his family's company, has many different kinds of cheese on sale all over the world and has won dozens of prestigious awards for his products.
You know, some people do have a wine cellar, but I have a cheese cellar.
Okay.
So that's why I have all my cheeses.
Looks like Fort Knox right now, then.
Yeah, that's right.
Oh my God.
Let's go and look at some of the cheeses down here. Here is some of the oldest cheeses we have in the cellar at the moment now.
How old is this one?
Roughly around 4 weeks old now. As you see outside, you always get some mold outside on it.
Yes.
This is saying this is not blue mold. It's
white.
Yeah. The blue mold is normally white, and then it get turned over to the blue color. Then you know.
A lot of the times when you have a cheese in your house and you buy too much cheese, if you can buy too much cheese, that is, and it gets a little bit moldy on the surface. Does that mean the cheese is off?
No, not at all. And there's never been found any toxin-producing molds on cheese surfaces. Ever. So that means normally you can just scrape up the mold, and then the cheese is ready for eating, you know.
See, that is very good news. You never have to throw anything away. Just cut it off and
just cut it off.
Yeah.
What we do, we'll wash off the mold, and then we'll put it into a bag and keep it for another at least 5 to 6 weeks more. So the cheese will be roughly around 10 weeks old when we start cutting and do it ready for the consumer. And that's because of if you're tasting this cheese now, it will taste. It will have a bitter flavor in it. Really bitter.
Can I taste it?
No, there's nothing like the flavor is there, but like it's. But
like you said, there's a bitterness.
You know, the bitterness is the one you get in the end of the at the taste when you're chewing it, and it's always in the end of it.
And it's quite strong as well.
Yeah. When it's 10 weeks, this bitterness will be gone, and then it will be a more smooth and round flavor. And it's all back to the way the mold is breaking down the protein into cheese. You know, so that's the way it is.
Now it's back to the beach with Mikkel and Nikolai to cook some crayfish fresh out of a nearby lake. People are now making journeys to Bornholm just to get the chance to eat at Caddo. The restaurant is famous for their unusual menus, so let's see what these two chefs have in store for me.
I'm gonna cook a dish with peas and these different kinds of cabbage from our own garden, actually. And some of these fantastic crayfish Mikkel went out to catch this morning.
And then we will maybe smoke them in this...
the juniper.
Yeah.
With the juniper, yeah. Fantastic.
What we picked today. Yeah.
Of course, with the beach herbs and a broth of mussel and crayfish as well.
Okay, so we've got the crayfish are done and taken care of. So now for the smoker.
We start by preparing the grill with some fresh juniper twigs, which we will use to smoke the crayfish with.
What are the elements you're thinking of? Now with the crayfish here, you combine it with cabbage. Is it just because it's in season, or?
Of course, we think with like beach herbs for it's good to serve with fish, of course, because it's like there's some.
Yeah, they combine very easily.
But of course, the primary thing is when thing is in season. I think when the cabbage is in season, we of course use cabbage all the time.
We peel the crayfish after they've been smoked on the grill. Then we grill the cabbage, both stems and leaves, into a nice crisp with just a little bit of salt.
Look at that. I mean, isn't that beautiful? Work of art. And people will throw this away.
We can start plating, or?
Yep. You guys show me. I'm your student today.
The plating starts with a pea puree, followed by the smoked crayfish tails. Then we add the fresh green peas, fresh hazelnuts, some borage from the restaurant garden, marinated cabbage, pea flowers, and then we dust the plate with a powder made from green peas. And for the final touch...
Okay, so this is the broth made from the crayfish with fermented pea juice.
Fermented pea juice.
Yeah. And oil on dill.
Look at that dish. It looks absolutely spectacular.
Try to taste it?
I thought you'd never ask. Let me try and get as many elements at the same time. Well, smokiness from the crayfish. Salt. Yeah, and the salt and the sweet green peas and...
That's good.
It's not bad.
No, not at all.
Oh. Oh! Look at that now. A local beer as well. Thank you very much for letting me be a part of this. No, this is my pleasure. Definitely my pleasure. Cheers.
Bornholm has so many great things going for it. Aside from the incredible environment and the warmth of the people, this special island is making great leaps into the world of local and gourmet food.
I have a really tough job